And welcome back to Fizzy's Wacky World of Wrestling. I'm 14 Fitzpatrick, and this is part 3 of a review of Monday Night Raw from September 30th, 2013, from the Mississippi Coast Coliseum in Biloxi, Mississippi. We now continue this review with Ryback and Paul Heyman out to the ring. Heyman states that he is a renowned political scientist as well as a great manager. He states his theory on insurgency and how he had to go against it in the city of Second City Saints, Chicago, Illinois, which he is now universally hated. It's like, above and beyond everybody else that's hated. The White Sox, the Detroit Lions, and anybody who criticizes deep dish pizzas in Chicago will probably be burned at the stake. They recap the ambush that happened last week where Punk was attacked by both Curtis Axel, the chief of the auto parts, and Paul Heyman's newest associate, Ryback. And Ryback states that he hates nothing more than bullies, and he will do anything to protect Paul Heyman. I really like this. First and foremost, I'm really surprised that they went with the Ryback-Paul Heyman pairing. I mean, I mentioned it in the, as I said before, the second episode of the podcast where I thought it would be a really good pairing. I just didn't think, like I said, they'd pull the trigger on this. And they have. Right now, Ryback is a character that I would be thinking as more as a Ronin/mercenary character. He is a samurai without a master. And Paul Heyman is that perfect shogun for Ryback. As, Heyman needs another giant angry monster to destroy people with. And that giant angry monster that he previously had was Brock Lesnar, but due to Brock's limited contract dates, he needs another monster to destroy people with, and Ryback is that perfect option for this pairing. Heyman says in this progressive world, people should be honest with their feelings. Heyman says that he wants to make a commitment to the Ryback, in which the crowd begins to start booing harshly because they misinterpret this. The fans chant, "Get a room," and Heyman chides them for their behavior, as they should, because this is a really great pairing of individuals. Ryback is the steak-eating destroyer of worlds, and Paul Heyman is the vicious manager that backstabs anything that gets in his way, with excessive force. Heyman gets down on one knee and asks if Ryback will become a Paul Heyman guy, where everybody else is sufficiently freaked out for some reason. I don't know. I personally think that the most sacred thing is between a manager and his client that wants to cause endless evil and destruction upon the wrestling world. I think that this is such a great pairing. As I've said before, Heyman only has to pay Ryback in semi-trucks full of steak. And Ryback can destroy anything that he wants to destroy. And, conquer the WWE universe. And have lots of steak dinners, I guess. Anyway, Ryback smiles, but before he can respond, CM Punk attacks, or attempts to attack. For some reason, he appeared to blow out his knee during one of the spots when he jumped over the barricade. And there's about a minute and a half of these three individuals staring at each other thinking, what just happened? Ryback and Heyman are staring at Punk. Punk is rolling around in the middle of the apron in agony. And the doctor goes check on Punk to see if he isn't really, if he's hurt or not. And Heyman comes down to the rope to check on him. But Punk surprises us all by grabbing a kendo stick and repeatedly whacking Heyman like a piñata. Ryback, trying to save the pinata, rescues Paul Heyman, and Curtis Axel goes in to save his manager, only to eat a GTS from Punk, like he usually does. I don't know, maybe that Lackey of the Year mug might not be such a good investment after all, Axel. I don't know, maybe that's just me. All in all, the segment was really well done. Everybody played their part incredibly well, and like I said, another great interview segment / promo. Then we get to our next match on the card, The Shield versus Dolph Ziggler and the Usos. Ziggler has transitioned from the role of arrogant heel to babyface with such amazing speed that, why didn't they have him be a face in the first place to a certain extent? I know that you need to test the waters of somebody being a heel, but Ziggler is such a natural face that he just fits. The Usos bring this old school 1980s tag team offense into the mix, and the Shield does what they do best: destroy everything in their path with incredible precision and teamwork. And Dolph Ziggler, unfortunately for him, eats a spear that ends everything and anything. Everything and anything! From Roman Reigns, which he is no doubt happy with himself. Once again, a really solid, really fun 6-man tag team match that gets the Shield back on the winning side of the coin after their 11-on-3 handicap match, in which they lost. So, anyway, we move back to Brad Maddox's office, where the cops show up to arrest Big Show for making threats against Triple H. Stephanie steps in and becomes a peacemaker. Unfortunately, she starts mocking Big Show again. Stephanie, do not taunt the Big Show. Do any of you remember what happens when people taunt the Big Show? He tends to punch things really hard, and they go boom on the ground, unconscious from the punches, which make Big Show very happy. He also throws a vase, an innocent vase, across a couch, and also rearranges the furniture. Show that's Ryback's gimmick. He's the one that arranges furniture. If you want to form a moving company with Ryback, I could completely understand that. Although you'd have to become a Paul Heyman guy. Actually, that's a pretty good business opportunity for Heyman. Ryback and Show's moving company. We throw your furniture out for you with excessive force. And if you don't like it, you can have a WMD or shell shock or your money back. Hint, your money will probably not be returned to you if it gets in the hands of Paul Heyman. Anyway, we then cut to an interview segment with Rob Van Dam, which I shall explain. Wow, man. I really like this hardcore match I'm going to have with ADR, man. I really think it's going to be absolutely neato, man. Woo, pretty clouds, man. Anyway, that was my translation of an RVD promo, which I hope I did the accent well enough for you guys. But like I said, I've said before, Alberto Del Rio's bucket should be in this feud, not RVD. I mean, that bucket was repeatedly used as a weapon against Ricardo Rodriguez. He should be the one getting the comeback finish and defeating the World Heavyweight Champion for the title. Instead, we get RVD, a 40-something-year-old hippie who lacks a lot of, what would you call it? Motivation. He doesn't really seem very motivated. I mean, he's more motivated than he was in TNA. I'll be giving him that. And his matches have been really good. But at the same time, he's going to slip at some point, and unfortunately this contract extension thing shows signs of that. He only wants to do 90-day contracts, which means that he's probably going to lose this match with ADR, and he'll probably not be back until the Royal Rumble. Good for him. I know that he needs to make money and he doesn't want to be on a constant travel schedule, but still, it's kind of selfish. Anyway, we cut to Zeb Coulter versus Santino Marella. Santino returned a couple weeks ago and faced off against Antonio Cesaro, in which he was swung around like a rag doll. And that same thing happens to him in this match, which he is accompanied by Hornswoggle, who will probably have to worry about Los Matadores' mascot, and the Great Khali. This was a really solid short match that Antonio Cesaro did really well in, and Santino has returned from his neck injury and is actually doing really well. Also, I like the fact that Zeb Coulter was healing about the state of Mississippi by mocking them for not being Alabama, which is going to make people very angry. Anyway, our last segment is a interview segment. Jerry the King Lawler, in his horrendous orange, yellowish jacket / shirt, starts talking about this is the face-to-face segment, and introduces Daniel Bryan and talks about the Daniel Bryan-Brie Bella engagement. Then he introduces Randy Orton. But before Bryan can say a word, Orton comes out and states that Bryan doesn't stand a chance. Bryan says that Orton talks a great game despite being monotone. Monotone? He does talk monotone, I get that, but he is a very good performer. You know, he hits RKOs on people and acts generally crazy, and is probably the happiest man on the face of the planet for being a heel. Bryan states that for everything Orton has, Bryan has never needed to be motivated like Triple H seems to think Orton needs to be. Orton finally snaps, however, and starts beating on the deranged lawn gnome. Orton is terrorizing Bryan, but then suddenly Brie Bella shows up, pleading with Orton not to beat up Bryan any more than he has to. Orton refuses this plea and does a RKO onto the announcing table, which obviously that announcing table was about 2 days away from retirement, so you're welcome, Orton. Now that poor table won't be able to go to his family. Anyway, Breed is continuing to scream, and Orton smiles happily to himself, goes jogging off, and adjusts his boots to end the show. Was a really great interview segment. Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton cut really great promos on each other. I don't get what was going on with Jerry Lawler's yellow t-shirt. Guys, could we just keep him in the polo shirt? Because these Affliction era t-shirts are really blinding me with the weird colors and the graphic details on the t-shirts. They're just really irritating. And for that matter, the commentating team for some reason seemed to be really off their game tonight. Apart from that, this was a really solid, well-done show. Everybody was on point today, the matches were really solid, and it was a really pretty good go-home show. I give it an A. The only problem was the commentating team seemed to be really off their game tonight, as I've said before. Cole was bickering with JPL during the entire broadcast, and King just seemed lost, like he always is. Oh no, really good show. Like I said, I think the commentating team probably needs to be changed at some point, but apart from that, this was a great show. And this has been Fizzy's Wacky World of Wrestling. I'm 14 Fitzpatrick, and have a good day, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll see you for the next episode. And good day and good night.